The rooms are satisfactory, Signor Pastorini. But now, we'd like some supper, and we'll need a carriage for today and the days following. You'll have supper immediately, sir, but the carriage is another matter. What do you mean another matter, Signor Pastorini? Let's be serious. We need a carriage. We'll do everything we can to get you one. And when will we have the answer? Tomorrow morning. Look, we'll pay it a little more, that's all. I know how it is in Paris. 25 francs for ordinary days, 35 for Sundays and holidays. I'm afraid you won't be able to find a carriage in Rome for even double that sum. Well, we could put horses on my carriage then. It's slightly battered from the journey, but I'm sure it'll do fine. There are no horses available. Do you understand that, Franz? No horses? Well, we can have post horses then, can't we? They were all rented over 2 weeks ago. The only ones left now are the ones which are absolutely necessary for the continuation of the service. Well, what do you say to that? I say, when a thing is beyond my comprehension, I just stop thinking about it and pass it on to something else. Is our supper ready, Signor Pastrini? Yes, Your Excellency. Very well, let's have it. I have a surprise for you. What is it? It's impossible to get a carriage and horses for the carnival, isn't it? It certainly is. But we could get a cart, couldn't we? Perhaps. And a pair of oxen? Probably. Well then, there you are. I'm going to have the cart decorated and we'll dress as Neapolitan harvesters. By God! For once you've had a good idea. Have you told anyone else about it? Yes, the hotel keeper. He assured me nothing could be easier. Well, have you found the cart and oxen? I found you something better than that. What is it? I suppose you know that the Count of Monte Cristo lives on the same floor as you. Well, he has learned of your difficulty and would like to offer you 2 seats in his carriage and 2 seats before his window at the Palazzo Ruspoli. What kind of man is this Count of Monte Cristo? He's a very great lord, either Sicilian or Maltese. I don't know which, but in any case, he's as noble as a Borghese and as rich as a gold mine. It seems to me that if he is as well-mannered as our host says he is, he ought to have conveyed his invitation in some other way, either by writing to us or... From the Count of Monte Cristo to Monsieur Franz d'Epinay and Monsieur Albert de Morcerf. The Count of Monte Cristo requests the honor of calling on these gentlemen tomorrow morning, and would like to know the hour that is most convenient for them. Tell the Count that, on the contrary, it is we who will have the honor of calling on him tomorrow morning. Now that's what I call overwhelming us with politeness. You're right, Signor Pastrini. Your Count of Monte Cristo is a very noble gentleman. I take it you accept his offer? Yes, of course. However, I admit I regret the loss of our cart and harvesters. If it weren't for the windows in the Palazzo Ruspoli, I think I'd go back to my original idea. What do you say, Franz? I say, it's the windows in the Palazzo Ruspoli that decide me too. If your excellencies will take a seat, I will inform the Count that you're here. Well, what do you think of this? I think our neighbor must be a stockbroker who made a very successful speculation. Or a prince traveling incognito. Oh, shh! We'll find out soon, because here he is. Gentlemen, please, accept my apologies for having you call for me. I was afraid I might disturb you if I came at an earlier hour. Besides, I knew you were coming, and I kept myself at your disposal. Franz and I are very grateful to you, Count. You solved a great problem to us. We were inventing fantastic vehicles until your gracious invitation arrived. It was all that idiot Pastrini's fault. I didn't come to your aid sooner. He told me nothing of your problem. If I knew I could have been aid to you, I would have took the opportunity to pay you my respects. There's to be an execution today at the Piazza del Popolo. I told my steward yesterday to find me a window overlooking the scene. Perhaps I can render you that service. Yes, Your Excellency. Monsieur Bertuccio, have you found a window overlooking the scene at Piazza del Popolo, as I instructed you to do yesterday? Yes, and you have one, but it was already rented out to Prince Lobeniev. I was obliged to pay 100. That will do, Monsieur Bertuccio. Spare these gentlemen the details of your arrangements. You got the window. That's all we need to know. Give the address of the house to the coachman and call us when lunch is ready. The following men will be executed today, February 22nd. Andrea Rondolo, guilty of the murder of the honored and venerated Don Cesare Terlini and Peppino, alias Rocca Priori, convicted of complicity with the detestable bandit Luigi Vampa and the men of his band. The first will be Mazzolato, the second will be decapitated. That was the original program. But I was in the home of Cardinal Rospigliosi last night, and I was told that one of the prisoners has been reprieved. Which one? The second one. That will deprive you of decapitation. But there's still the Mazzolato, which is quite a curious form of execution the first time you see it, or even the second. But decapitation is too simple. Nothing unexpected ever happens. Europeans know nothing when it comes to execution and tortures. They're in the childhood, or rather the old age, of cruelty. You sound as though you've made a comparative study of methods of execution all over the world, Count. There are a few of them I haven't seen. And you find pleasure in such horrible sights? My first feeling was repugnance, then indifference, and finally, curiosity. Curiosity? That's a terrible word to use. Why? Death is the only really serious preoccupation in life. Isn't it worth a while, therefore, to study the different ways in which the soul can take leave of the body, and how, according to their character, their temperament, and even the customs of their country, different individuals undergo the passage from being to nothingness? As for myself, I can tell you one thing. The more one sees others die, the easier it becomes to face death oneself. I don't understand you very well. Please, explain yourself. You've no idea how strongly you've aroused my curiosity. Listen, if a man has tortured and killed your father, your mother, your sweetheart, in short, one of those beings who leave an eternal emptiness and an eternally bleeding wound when they are torn from your heart, do you think society has given you sufficient reparation? Because the guillotine has passed between the murderer's trapezius and his occipital bone? Because the man who made you undergo long years of mental and emotional suffering has undergone a few seconds of physical pain? Yes, I know. Human justice is sadly lacking in consolation. It can only shed blood in exchange for blood. But we mustn't ask it more than it can do. And I've mentioned only a very simple case. The case in which society avenges the death of one individual by the death of another. But aren't there all sorts of suffering which a man can undergo without being provided by society any means of vengeance whatsoever? Yes, and it is the order to punish them that dueling is tolerated. Ah, dueling. A fine method of vengeance. A man has caused you pain, misery, or infamy, and you believe his crime avenged because you have thrust a sword into his chest or lodged a bullet into his head. Come, come. And, of course, he may even emerge victorious, with his sin washed away in the eyes of the world. No, no. If I ever wanted to take vengeance on someone, that's not how I'd do it. You disapprove of dueling, then? No, no, not at all. Let me make myself clear. I would fight a duel for an insult, a blow, a lie, or something of that sort. But for slow, profound, infinite, and eternal suffering, I'd try to avenge myself by inflicting similar suffering. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But this is a strange conversation to be having during a carnival. How do we begin talking about such things? Oh yes, I mentioned that I could offer you a place at my window. Thank you, Count. Excuse us, but we have 1,000 things to do. May I ask what they are? Some summer costume is absolutely necessary for the carnival, and we don't have any yet. Don't worry about that. We have a private room at the Piazza del Popolo. I'll have the costumes brought to us, and we can change into them right there after the execution. It's 12:30 now, gentlemen. We have no time to lose.